What is your name and occupation?
Hi, my name is Amy Krulak. I'm a clinical social worker. I've been doing this job for 28 years. Dang.
So you started when you were 2.
Exactly.
Will you tell me a little bit about your experience working with the prison population?
I worked for the Department of Juvenile Services, which is what they call in Washington, D.C., their juvenile justice. And I worked there from 1990 when I graduated, and I worked in the community work, going to court, monitoring kids that have been arrested, going to court to say whether they're following, being a probation officer kind of, but going to the house, getting them connected with services. And then I went to work in the prison, working with suicide prevention. And so working as a therapist, and working doing assessments when kids came in.
So in your expert experience, what are some mental health risks for prisoners?
Well, they're that feeling of hopelessness, teenagers especially have a belief that they are that they can live forever and that they're invulnerable. So and a lot of kids, and they would tell me this, they had been arrested repeatedly, maybe picked up 14 times for shoplifting, and it was the first time they'd ever been locked up. And when you go into a prison is loud, the temperature's wrong, kind of like your classroom. It's always too hot or always too cold. The food is really bad and there's no other options. It's dirty, there's cockroaches, so it's not a fun place. Somebody telling you when to go to bed, when to get up. So there's that, the whole sense of, but also if you know what you know about prison populations is that so many of them have already been abused. So what we know is that for women that are incarcerated, over 90%, I've heard sometimes as high as 95% of them have been sexually abused before their arrest. There's also a very large proportion of the that are drug addicted. So all those things that are making it very hard for them to feel successful or like that there's a chance of having a healthy, happy life.
Can you share a little bit about one particular inmate or story that really resonated with you or hit home? And you don't have to share names or identifying details, but
there was a family, and two of the brothers. I was working with them out in the community, and I was really young, straight out of graduate school, and I went to find their house. And DC in that time there were just miles and miles of burned out, abandoned houses, and I had driven, and there was nobody living there. And I had to walk. I found the right address. And I walk into the house. You walk past a line of people. They were high to get into the building. It's the only building that has any people there. But I was going to visit this aunt and take the kid out to buy clothes so they could go back to school. Years later, I'm working in the prison, and he is in the prison. He had a horrible speech impediment, and the boys were being boys as they were teenagers, and he gets up and he's like, "Don't mess with Miss Amy. Miss Amy cares about me. She came to my house. She took me shopping. Don't mess with Miss Amy." And and just that sense that you touch somebody, and that he was laughing. He was like, "She walked past all those crackheads into my house. Nobody comes to my house." And Miss Amy was there. I was like, yeah, I was a dum-dum, wasn't I? But just that touched him. And just that, knowing that little things you do, sometimes just because you're naive, but how it really can be perceived as something that's important to the people you touch.
So, do you think that your experiences have like changed your life or impacted your life like outside of your
Well, on a
work?
couple different levels. You know, for me, I really loved working with the kids, but my sense was, okay, this is too late. I can't. This is too hard to work with somebody after they're already locked up, because it felt kind of hopeless. And and I was young, so then so I came to work in the school system to try and prevent kids from getting locked up. So that for me, it's like here I am, hoping to make a difference in somebody's life before they make that choice to be out on the street just being a dum-dum and change their life for good.
Well, thank you so much, Miss Amy. I
Well,
really
you're welcome.
appreciate it. And I'm really excited about my project, and your opinion will help me, and our experience will help me come up with a solution to help reduce mass incarceration and help mental health inmates.
I'm so glad you guys are making this a priority, because it should be. It's a wonderful idea.